One pilot, a squadron of cheap drones, and a daring plan deep inside enemy skies. In August 2025, Ukraine's legendary Ghost flew a MiG-29 into Donetsk, evading S-400 missiles while drones swarmed the air defense system, wiping out a $500 million shield. But how did a mix of low-tech drones and precision bombs bring down Russia's most advanced air defense in a single strike? At 14:30, local time on August 15, 2025, a Ukrainian MiG-29 Fulcrum from the 114th Tactical Aviation Brigade streaks across the contested skies near the Donetsk front line at 500 feet above ground level. The pilot, call sign Ghost, has been flying a nap-of-the-earth profile for the last 45 minutes, hugging terrain to avoid Russian radar detection. His mission: strike a key Russian supply depot 280 kilometers inside occupied territory. But in exactly 3 minutes, the S-400 Triumph air defense system guarding the area will light up like a Christmas tree, attempting to swat him from the sky, and in doing so, reveal its hidden position for a devastating Ukrainian counterstrike. The MiG-29's twin RD-33 engines push out 18,300 pounds of thrust each, propelling the jet at Mach 0.85 while the pilot monitors his improvised weapons interface. Strapped under the wings are 4 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, American precision-guided munitions adapted to the Soviet-era airframe through Ukrainian engineering wizardry. Each bomb weighs 250 pounds and can glide 110 kilometers with GPS and inertial guidance. But the real challenge isn't the drop, it's surviving the climb to release altitude, where every Russian air defense in the sector will see him. Let's break down the GBU-39. It's designed for low collateral damage with a 37-kilogram warhead, but in this setup, Ukrainian techs added voltage regulators to handle the MiG's 28-volt system clashing with American 12-volt electronics. At 14:33, Ghost's radar warning receiver erupts with alarms. An S-400's 91N6E Big Bird acquisition radar has painted him from 120 kilometers away, its L-band waves piercing through the low-altitude clutter. The system, costing over $500 million per battery, can track 300 targets simultaneously and engage 36 at once. But physics is on Ghost's side for now. The Earth's curvature creates a radar horizon of about 30 kilometers at his altitude, giving him a narrow window to maneuver. This radar horizon is simple math. Radar line of sight distance approximates square root of 13 times height in feet, but with terrain, it's even shorter here. Thus, pilot dives even lower, skimming 300 feet above a riverbed to mask his signature. His fuel gauge shows 2,100 kilograms remaining, enough for the strike and a tight egress, but no room for errors. The GBU-39s run their final checks. GPS locks on 5 satellites, inertial systems calibrated against electromagnetic interference. Ukrainian intel has plotted a 5-kilometer gap in the S-400 coverage, exploiting deployment weaknesses where overlapping radars leave dead zones due to terrain. This intel came from partisan spotters using encrypted apps, tracking battery movements for weeks. Suddenly, at 14:35, the S-400 escalates. The 92N6E Gravestone fire control radar locks on, pumping 350 kilowatts of energy to burn through any jamming. Ghost's cockpit fills with threat tones as 248 N6E missiles launch from the battery's 5P-85 TE-2 vehicles. Each missile accelerates to Mach 6 in seconds, with a 400-kilometer range and a 180-kilogram warhead. But the launch reveals everything. The missile trails and radar emissions pinpoint the S-400's exact location, 45 kilometers southeast, hidden in a forested ridge. In real time, Ukrainian ELINT aircraft orbiting 100 kilometers away use passive receivers to triangulate the site within 5 meters accuracy. Ukrainian electronic warfare units monitoring from 150 kilometers away capture the data instantly. The S-400's operators have just betrayed their position by firing too early. The missiles streak toward Ghost at 2,000 meters per second, but his evasive maneuvers 5G pull into a valley, break the lock. Terrain masking scatters the radar returns, and the missile's seekers can't reacquire through the ground clutter. One self-destruct harmlessly at 14:36. The other veers off course, missing by 2 kilometers. Physics and geometry win again. The S-400's high-altitude design struggles against low-flying threats, much like how Soviet systems failed against NATO tactics in past conflicts. Ghost climbs to 15,000 feet for the bomb release, exposing himself briefly. The iPad-mounted targeting system locks the depot coordinates. At 1437, he pickles all 4 GBU-39s. The bombs deploy wings, gliding toward the target, with 20-to-1 lift-to-drag ratios. Their computers calculate paths to evade point defenses, arriving in 30-second intervals for maximum damage. The depot erupts in secondary explosions, ammunition and fuel adding to the chaos, but Ghost's job is done. He rolls inverted and dives for home with 1,200 kilograms of fuel left. During egress, he dodges SA-15 missiles from mobile units, using chaff and flares to spoof their seekers. Back at Ukrainian command, the revealed S-400 position triggers Phase 2. At 1440, a swarm of 12 low-cost Beaver drones launches from a concealed site 80 kilometers away. Each drone costs just $15,000, built from commercial parts, DJI frames, AliExpress electronics, and 20 kilograms shaped charge warheads. They fly at 50 meters altitude in a 2-kilometer spread, using optical terrain matching and inertial navigation to evade GPS jamming. No radio links, pure autonomy. To laugh at Russian electronic warfare. These drones are modified from hobby kits, with added solid-state gyros for stability in winds up to 40 kilometers per hour. The drone's AI, trained on satellite imagery, identifies the S-400 battery, 4 launchers, 2 radars, and Panzer S-1 close-in defenses. At 1450, the swarm reaches 20 kilometers out. The S-400's Big Bird radar finally detects them, but classified the small RCS 0.05 square meters as birds or clutter. The Panzers engage with 57 E-6 missiles, but the drone's vertical spread, forcing defenses to split across altitudes, overwhelms the system. Each Panzer can handle 4 targets max. 12 drones mean chaos. The Panzer's 9S-36 radar sweeps at 45 degrees per second, but tracking small maneuvering targets drops efficiency by 60%. Missiles launch in salvos, accelerating to Mach 3. One hits a drone at 1452, shredding it with tungsten fragments. But the swarm adjusts. High group dives at 30-degree angles. Low group hugs 30 meters. The Panzer's cannons spray 30mm rounds, but hit rates drop to 10% against maneuvering targets. Reload time, 5 minutes. By 1455, missiles are expended. Only 3 drones down, 9 incoming. Russian operators switch to manual mode. But thermal imager struggle with the drone's low heat signatures from electric motors. The S-400 fires blindly without precise locks, its $1.5 million missiles arcing uselessly. At 1457, the first Beaver impacts the Gravestone radar. The 20-kilogram shaped charge inverts its copper liner into a Mach 23 jet, punching through the antenna and frying internals. The radar dish, 8 meters wide, 3 tons, shears off, crashing down. Secondary hits on the Big Bird at 1458 crack its 40-ton array, turning $50 million of tech into scrap. The explosions create overpressure waves of 500 psi, reflecting off reinforced structures and amplifying damage. 4 drones target the launchers at 1459. Warheads penetrate missile tubes, igniting solid propellant at 2,800 degrees Celsius. Pressure spikes to 300 atmospheres, rupturing tubes and causing chain detonations. 1,200 kilograms of propellant explodes in a fireworks show worth millions. The battery's command vehicle takes the final hit at 1500, its electronics vaporized. Fragments scatter 200 meters, igniting nearby vegetation and forcing evacuation. By 1502, the S-400 site is a smoking crater. Black smoke rises 1,000 meters as secondary fires consume remnants. Russian Su-35 fighters scramble from 90 kilometers away, but arrive too late. 8 minutes flight time means they orbit wreckage. Ukrainian, Intornsoin Ains Intorntrans Intel, confirms 1 MiG-29 strike, 1 missed intercept, and $180,000 in drones just neutralized a $500 million system. Satellite imagery later shows the site's camouflage netting burned away, exposing bunkers. The economics tell the story. Russia's S-400, designed for high-altitude threats like ballistic missiles, fails against low-cost, low-flying swarms. Ukrainian innovation, adapting old jets with new bombs and basement-built drones, turns desperation into dominance. The depot strike disrupts supplies for a week. The S-400 loss opens a 50-kilometer air corridor for future ops. Compare this to historical precedents like the 1982 Bekaa Valley, where Israeli drones decoyed Syrian SAMs. Its post-mission analysis reveals the S-400's fatal flaw: over-reliance on radar superiority. When it fired at the MiG-29, emissions were triangulated in seconds via passive sensors. The missile's Mach 6 speed couldn't overcome terrain masking. Closing time, 24 seconds, but Ghost vanished in 18. Drone resistance to jamming, fiber optic backups, and frequency hopping made Russian EW irrelevant. Ukrainian teams had tested these drones against captured Krasuka systems, achieving 95% success rates. At the depots, the GBU-39's sequential hits created overpressure waves, amplifying destruction. First bomb penetrates storage, detonating 15 Shahed drones in secondary blasts. Intelligence estimates 20 million rubles in logistics vaporized. But the real win is the S-400 kill, validating Ukraine's hybrid warfare doctrine. Russian media later downplays it as minor damage, but intercepted comms show panic in command chains. Russian commanders vector reinforcements, but geometry works against them. The drone's 48 meters per second speed and 3 kilometers front force divided fire. Panzer hit probability, 20% per missile against small RCS. With 24 missiles total, math doomed them from the start. Ukrainian operators, watching via encrypted Starlink, confirm kills in real time. The operation's planning took months. Drone assembly in underground workshops, MiG mods in hidden hangars. The pilot, Ghost, lands at base by 15:15 with 400 kilograms of fuel. Bingo state, but alive. Debrief shows voltage spikes in the MiG's adapted pylons nearly aborted the drop, but battlefield fixes held. This mission isn't isolated. It's part of a pattern where cheap tech equalizes against superior numbers. Broader implications: Russia must now disperse S-400s, reducing density and exposing flanks. For Russia, losing an S-400 battery means redeploying assets from other fronts, stretching defenses thin. The system's vaunted 400-kilometer range means nothing against threats flying under 100 meters. Ukrainian drones, powered by lawnmower engines and guided by smartphone processors, prove ingenuity beats brute force. Economic fallout: replacement costs exceed $600 million, plus lost operational tempo. Secondary effects ripple. Fuel from the depot supplied 3 battalions. Now they're grounded for days. The S-400 site's destruction exposes nearby assets. No more umbrella protection. In Moscow, heads roll as reports filter up. A single jet and toy drones just cost them dearly. Ukrainian morale soars, with pilots sharing helmet cam footage internally. Technical breakdown: S-400 missiles need continuous illumination. Drones' pop-up maneuvers broke locks every 5 seconds. Shape charges copper jets travel at 8,000 meters per second, faster than any escape. Ukrainian ROI: 60,000 bombs plus 180,000 drones versus $500 million system. Wall Street wishes for returns like that. This echoes Vietnam-era tactics, where low-tech defeated high-tech empires. As fires burn at the site, Russian cleanup crews arrive to twisted metals and melted electronics. Ukrainian forces press the advantage, launching follow-up strikes through the gap. This operation demonstrates modern warfare's shift: swarms and precision over massed power. Future missions may integrate AI for real-time swarm adjustments. In the end, the MiG-29's daring run baited the trap. The S-400's miss sealed its fate, and cheap UAVs delivered the knockout. Ukraine turns defense into offense, one innovative strike at a time. One calculated risk, one revealed weakness, one devastating blow. Bye for now.